I don't want to be negative, but I've got to say it. The bloody blowouts, because of the 6 to go rule, it's killing my weekend buzz watching football.
Yeah, good afternoon on this Monday. I'm James Willis. Welcome to the Offload. I'm joined today by Josh Morris and Andrew Webster from The Australian. G'day, boys. We'll talk about Magic Round in just a moment. A great weekend of footy in Brisbane. But first, the Origin teams have dropped for Game 1, and there's a lot to get through. Obviously, for the Blues as a starting point, Latrell Mitchell ruled himself out across the weekend. And J-Moz, some big surprises. Tedesco is the fullback. Koula from Manly will make his debut on the wing, a position he hasn't played a lot of top-line footy in. Fanua Blake on debut, Radley on debut, Brayley on debut, and Ethan Strange. So what did you make of the team for Laurie Daly on paper?
Yeah, I found the Koula on the wing very, very interesting. Obviously, with the Latrell out, the two best centres there after that were Crichton and Staggs. So like that centre pairing. Teddy, it's hard to dispute his form. He's been in career best form again, and it's great to see him get back into the side. And I think it's a more mobile, faster pack than we've seen in previous years as well. So no doubt that'll be, with the way the game's going and the speed of the game, Laurie Daly's opted for probably smaller, a more mobile pack there.
Webby, your first impressions of Laurie Daly's side?
Different. I'm not surprised with Tedesco. There'd been a bit of mail about that late last week. It's pretty obvious he just wants to run them off their feet right through the middle of the field. So Radley, I think that's going to be a big talking point if it hasn't been already. If I'm a New South Welshman, I'd probably be a New South Wales player. I'd be, wondering why Victor Radley's in that side, given that he's pledged his allegiance to England. I know that the eligibility rules have changed, but I do know one thing. I'm looking forward to the fireworks out of it. And I thought Laurie Daly's press conference, in which he said, he heard exactly what he wanted from Victor Radley when he told him he was in the team. So I'm assuming that the subtext of that is that he's going to go out there and bash people. So we'll see what happens with Victor Radley out there, and obviously the Koula selection. I'm really interested in, J-Moz, what you think about a player playing out on the wing, particularly when wing's such a specialist position these days.
Yeah, I think so. I think I would have had him on the bench for sure. I think he's played himself into a Blues jersey, but yeah, in the unfamiliar position of wing, and no doubt Billy Slater will target him for sure with some kicks coming his way. I think he'll do a great job. He'll have to obviously roll up his sleeves a lot more coming out of his own half, but if he gets any sort of space, we know how quick he is. So, like I said, if he even gets a little bit of space, it could be a great thing for New South Wales, and we could see him scoring in the corner a couple of times.
And Sam Walker to make his debut for Queensland at halfback. There'd been a lot of speculation about who would play number 7 for Queensland after Tom Dearden was ruled out, and J-Moz, Walker's got the job for Game 1.
Yeah, and well done to Sam. He's had a great year so far as well, and I think it just shows that he didn't want to go back to Daly Cherry Evans. He'd rather look to the future, and Sam Walker is the future. And you do feel for Tommy Dearden not being there, but Sammy's in just as good a form, and he probably could have picked Jake Clifford as well. He's been absolutely outstanding this year, but Sammy gets the nod, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he goes with a couple of big back rolls running at him all night.
And Webby, the interesting thing is as well, with the extended benches for the first time this year, there will be a lot more players that are required to obviously be unavailable for their teams, and there'll be no doubt some teams that'll be watching that closely. The big one from the weekend was no Latrell Mitchell, who contacted Laurie Daly and said he won't be playing Game 1, but also won't be playing for Souths as a result due to that back injury.
Yeah, what a blow. I was really looking forward to Latrell. He's just been in such great form this season, and he would have been great, obviously, for New South Wales. He's played great for New South Wales in the past. There was a bit doing over Magic Round with those Origin teams. I thought it was. No one's really touched on it too much. What happened to all the mail about Kalen Ponga playing 7? And all of a sudden, it was Sam Walker was no chance, and it was all going to be Ponga. Now, I reckon there's two things at play there. It's either it's either it was just Queensland mind games just to stuff up all of us here in New South Wales, or they were trying to expose the leak in the Queensland team who's leaking team selection. So it was funny how it just all of a sudden went from Ponga not being Ponga being the 7 to being the fullback. I've got to say, in terms of the Queensland team, I'm stunned that I've got no dramas at all, and I'm not surprised at all that Kalen Ponga is the fullback. But why would they? I can't believe he wouldn't put Reece Walsh on the bench. J-Moz, thoughts?
Yeah, what do we make of that? Given Walsh's form, I mean, sure he hasn't been in great form this season, but the form he had last year, right through to the grand final, and the Kangaroo Tour off the back of that.
Oh, look, I think the Blues would be very happy he's not in the squad. Can you imagine him coming on in like the back end of a half, or 10 minutes to go in the game, and that blinding speed? He would put New South Wales under a lot of pressure. So, I think Kalen is the number one. I think he has played outstanding this year, and he's gone to another level. Underneath Justin Holbrook there, he's brought out the best in him, and they'll for sure target him with some high balls coming his way. You don't want to try and kick it down his throat and let him bring the ball back because he's got that line-breaking ability. But I can imagine that they'll be putting him up all night and getting down there and trying to bash him every chance they get.
Out of the weekend now, Magic Round. Webby, what did you make of the footy across the weekend? There's some dramas for a few teams, some other teams in fantastic form, but the concept overall, I can't really see it moving anywhere outside of Brisbane in the years ahead.
Never. I don't think it was any chance of moving. It was like last week there was a story on the Tuesday saying that there's all these other states and overseas interests, and then the Premier, David Crisafulli, is appearing on NRL 360 announcing a new deal out to 2032. So I thought there was a lot of posturing going on last week with Magic Round. I don't think it was going anywhere, and I think the deal from the Queensland government, I've been told it's around 10 mil a year until 2032, which is great. Anyone that's been to Magic Round will tell you it's an incredible festival, a celebration of the game. Caxton Street just gets bigger and better, and I think with this new deal with the Queensland government, it's going to be even a whole week-long festival of the game. My only problem with this Magic Round is, and I don't want to be negative, but I've got to say it, the bloody blowouts, because of the 6 to go rule, it's killing my weekend buzz watching football. I'll tell you why. Because it has made the referee the central figure on the field, and that should not be the case. When you have the likes of Cameron Munster and Jerome Hughes, the last two Dally M winners, coming out last week like they did on their podcast, saying they can't stand watching the game and they just keep it in the background. Now, the NRL can roll out all the metrics and they can tell us about the attendances, they can tell us about TV ratings. I don't care. When you've got two of the leading players in the game saying they can't stand watching the game, the people who run the NRL need to sit up and listen.
Yeah, 8 games across the weekend, J-Moz, and the closest game was the Cowboys beating the Roosters 18-12. The others, they're all pretty one-sided, and I watched the Manly game across the weekend. Manly won 46-18. That wasn't close. Right back to Friday night, 38-16, the Sharks over the Bulldogs. The Dolphins thumped Souths. They're big one-sided scorelines across the weekend.
Yeah, and like we said, the referee has become the main character in this, and instead of the players deciding the game, it's almost the officiating deciding the games these days. And the 6 again rule, I've said it needs to come back to a penalty inside each 20. If you're going to give a penalty coming out of the 20, I think you need to give one inside the 20 on the try line. And if you're giving 2 or 3 away, then someone goes to the bin like the old days. Like, they just keep on giving 6 away agains, and they just don't care. And the fans are like, well, they don't even know what the 6 agains are for half the time because the game's too fast now. So we are seeing those games. The one thing I will say is I was happy. It's sad that Tanah Boyd has obviously got that season-ending injury, but I was worried that the ground wouldn't hold up. So there was a full credit to the staff there at Suncorp for there was rain during the week and during stages of the weekend, but they did a pretty good job to keep that surface up to scratch.
Yeah, almost 150,000 fans in attendance, Webby, and It's funny. I know previously I've said, oh, look, I'm enjoying the footy, but at the weekend, there was so many times I'm watching and you don't even know what the 6 to go is for. And then you almost forget about it because then there's another one down the field. And there was not much to watch in terms of action. Like the closeness of all the games was not much fun. And there's sides that just can't keep up, as J-Moz says.
And even that Broncos-Warriors game, like, you don't see the Broncos, the defending premiers, they were out on their feet late in that first half. Like, they were completely gassed. I don't know. Look, I know it's a lot different to the football that I've grown up watching my whole life and covering. And again, I'm not trying to be negative, and I understand that a lot of people and a lot of fans love the triathlon. I get that, and I know that it's a changing game and a changing landscape. But I don't know. It's as I said, don't listen to me. Don't even listen to the great J-Moz. But if your last 2 Dally M players of the year are saying they can't watch football, then that's a fundamental problem that I think the game's officials really need to look at.
I agree. So, Josh, the NRL do listen to this podcast. I know that for a fact. If they were to fix things at this stage, it's the 20 metre 6 to go that is the big issue that could be fixed heading into this weekend.
Yeah, I think so. I think they need to bring back more penalties, because that's when you get the game to slow down a little bit. I understand you're trying to eradicate the wrestle, but you need wrestle. You need to be able to slow down the ruck. Otherwise, we're going to see all these quick play the balls. Off the back of that, you're seeing more fatigue coming into the game. I mean, I've said it pretty much since the first 2 rounds that I think the interchange should go back up to 10 with the way the game's going and the speed it's going. But, I think there is a place for the wrestle in our game. I think it's bordering on touch football, and like Webby said, ask the players, ask the people at the pub if they enjoy watching this game at the moment. No, you'll get the ones that do love it, but for myself and Webby, the purists, we want to see closer contests. We want to see edge of your seat footy, not all these tries and blowouts and one side winning the game by half time.
Like, if you say that you don't like the way the game is being officiated at the moment, then the contrary argument from the NRL is that you like the wrestle. I hated the wrestle as much as anyone. I'm glad that they've tried to eradicate some of the wrestle out of the game, and a lot of the wrestling techniques that crept in. And let's just face it was the Melbourne Storm who introduced it, and everyone followed. I don't like that either. But there's got to be a finer balance, and as Cameron Munster said, the balance was right a year and a half ago. Like, that's where they need to be. They need to, and I don't know why, when we had just one of the greatest seasons ever last year, they would change it.
Let's run through some of the stories from the weekend, boys. Josh, obviously 5 losses in a row for the Bulldogs. The Broncos are slipping as well. They were terrible against the Warriors at the weekend. Firstly, on the Dogs, where do you see things at this point in time leaking far too many points at this stage?
Oh, far too many points and giving away starts. And then at the moment, we've spoken about their attack at length. They just struggle for points. You don't know where it's going to come up from, and they're still not set on their spine. I think if it was me, I would put O'Sullivan in the halves and put Galvin to 6 and have 2 big centres in Burton and Crichton and just try and get them early ball and try and spark the attack that way. But you're right, the defence, which has been their foundation pretty much the last 2 or 3 years, that's completely gone at the moment as well. And if they keep this up, they won't play in the finals. It's a pretty simple equation. I think they've got to win about 10 of their last games to make the finals, and similar to what the Storm are in as well. So these sides that we thought were going to be in the top 4 are struggling to make the 8.
Yeah, slipping away for the Broncos as well, Webby.
Yeah, well, they do look a bit fly-blown, don't they? They look very much unlike the premiership winning team late last season. I don't know, even Walsh, like Walsh was making so many errors last night. He's gone back to being the rocks and diamonds player that he was before he hit that purple patch of form late last year. But again, it's such a long season. I'm not writing the Broncos off by any means. They were in a bigger slump last year than they were at this season. So, we sort of forget that they've had some injury dramas as well. So I'm not ruling a line through the Broncos just yet.
And a cruel blow for the Warriors as well, Josh. Tanah Boyd, as you mentioned, gone for the year with the ACL. He's been in such phenomenal form, and it was shaping up to be one of those great stories where his form previously hadn't been flash, he'd been a bit hit and miss, and he's been on fire this year. So with him gone, I guess Metcalf won't get an early release. But what does it mean for the Warriors' hopes, given their great start to the season?
Oh, look, it's ultimately disappointing, but they've got a player, Luke Metcalf, there that was starting before him, and then Tanner's just done such a great job. I'm happy that he re-signed with the club. That was great news. But yeah, it can be a cruel game sometimes. You're up high, and then something like this happens, and I don't think it'll derail their season. But yeah, he's certainly going to be a loss, and that depth in the halves is now tested. But they did run away with it in the end, so they showed that they have a lot of adversity in them. I think this is a far different Warriors side to even last year. I think they can compete for the title.
Yeah, they're so good to watch as well, Webby, with some of the tries that they score and some amazing outside backs. The story, though, really is Manly now in fourth spot. They're in the top four with this incredible turnaround. And Webby, I mean, what do you say about this? Kieran Foran's done a remarkable job. Their defence has been really good during this period, and I think for me the takeout is the form of Luke Brooks and the way that he has come to life in these. He looked terrible at the start of this season, and he's been amazing. Their halves have come to life. Ola Kawatu's on form. Koula's found his way into the Origin team as a result. It's great to watch.
It is, and look, when Anthony Seibold was speared after 3 games, I said it on this podcast. I'd be stunned if Matt Ballin doesn't get the job, because as I said at the time, and as everyone knows, there's this old sort of group of former players behind the scenes there that have been forcing change at Brookvale, and Matt Ballin was the coach that they wanted. But the way they've played under Kieran Foran means they've got no choice but to appoint him, really. And I got told this morning that it's only a matter of weeks away before they sort out the deal. So it is one of the most remarkable turnarounds I think I can ever remember after the sacking of a coach.
Josh, where has it all changed for Manly with the same squad? You've been watching this and seeing the way they're playing. Obviously, defence has improved, but what do you make of this turnaround under the new coach?
Oh, it's unbelievable, isn't it? Like, he was only playing football last October and stepped into an assistant coach, and then 3 weeks later he's the head coach. But we have spoken about this before. Like, Kieran Foran as a player, his whole career was built on grit and determination, and he had his setbacks, but he wouldn't tell those players to do something that he wouldn't have done himself on the field. He's a leader, and they are following him right now. But the one thing that I have noticed, and you spoke about it too, I think, Webby, was just their defence. The way that their defence has changed. Like, their line speed, they're up in their face, they're aggressive, they're starting to go after forward packs, where at the start of the year they just put the white flag up pretty much, and they were a completely different side. And you're right, Luke Brooks, his form's coincided with Kieran taking over. He's probably helped out his game, being a former half, and given him the confidence to go out there and play. And then Hamoli Olakawatu has just been absolutely terrorising people. Glad I don't play anymore when there's blokes like that on the field.
I know, and he's made his way into the Origin starting side as a result. Just lastly, very quickly, West Tigers, alarm bells, another loss. And I don't think they've won a game since it was announced Jerome Luai would be leaving for PNG. I'm not sure they're directly linked, but there's been some blowouts, J-Moz, in the last few weeks.
Yeah, look, there's a little bit behind that as well. They've had injuries, suspensions to a lot of their spine, and I think that plays a little bit of a part. Could they have thought they were travelling better than what they had? Maybe. Benji said that previously, but yeah, I think injuries and suspensions have cruelled them this past kind of 3 weeks. They'll get Appy back this week, I'm pretty sure. So not panic stations just yet. They've started their season off well, but yeah, once they get all their key players back in their spine, I think the Tigers, they'll be good again.
Josh Morris and Andrew Webster from The Australian joining us on this Monday edition of The Offload. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast, which comes out every day via your podcast feed. There's also clips on Instagram and the full shows on YouTube as well. We'll catch you next time.